Alright everybody, we are nearing the end here for this introductory module, so I hope you're excited as I am. So the code that we've been experimenting with up to now has been all well and good, but it's not actually valid HTML. Or rather, the code is perfectly fine. It is valid HTML, but our file, the index file that we've been playing with is not. Ooh, where'd my index go? There it is. Go ahead and open this up in Sublime one more time. Our index.html actually requires a little bit more of a framework to be truly valid HTML that we might use on a real website. Right now we've just been experimenting, we've been playing around. So with my index.html open, I'm going to insert some boilerplate code. This boilerplate code is going to be the code that will start or jumpstart every website that we make, every project that we build, every set of exercises that we work on. It will all use this boilerplate code. So I'm going to go ahead and write this code out now, line by line, and what I want you to do is copy it exactly. Okay, 100% exactly. This is an exercise in being detail oriented, because the slightest error or typo here could cause this code to not function correctly. So you're going to want to copy what I do very, very carefully. And in the following video, we're going to break it down and explain what exactly is happening. Okay? So this boilerplate code is only going to contain a couple of things, but it's probably going to look a little intimidating because we haven't really dealt with a whole lot of code just yet. First thing it's going to need is a doc type declaration, like so. The second thing it's going to need is an HTML element, like so. I'm going to go ahead and break up that HTML element. I'm going to open it up like this. Okay? And inside that HTML element, we're going to need a head element, and we're going to need a body element. I'm going to bring both of these back. We'll talk about that indentation at a later time. But this is what we're looking at so far. An HTML element, which contains a head element and a body element. Okay. Now inside the head element, I want to break this one open as well. Inside that head element, I'm going to insert a title element. And let's put a little bit of text inside that title. Insert title here. Last thing that I want you to do is let's open up that body element. Got 3 lines, like so. Okay, once you've done this, we have all of the boilerplate that we're going to need for now, which is perfect. This is the bare minimum that any index.html file requires in order to be a valid website. This is the bare minimum. You don't need to memorize this for a couple of reasons. One, we're going to set you up with a template folder, or rather you're going to build your own template folder, which will have this boilerplate code baked into it, so that you don't have to rewrite all of this every single time you start a new project or a new website. Think of this like Letterhead. You know, if you've ever used Letterhead or worked at a company that uses Letterhead, you don't need to recreate that letterhead anytime you start a new document or a new memo or a new email even. That letterhead is already baked into the template for any company communications or any memos, any documents whatsoever. That's what this is like. That's what this boilerplate is doing, and that's the purpose that it's going to serve. Okay? So this is all that you need right now, and what I want you to do is write it a couple of times. Write it a couple of times. Okay, so copy it line by line, rewrite it like this, and then delete it and rewrite it again. Do it a couple of times, and every time you do successfully, I want you to zoom in nice and close to the image that we've provided to you for what your code should look like, and compare. Make sure that your code matches our code exactly. Do it a few times. Just get it under your fingertips. Get used to it. Don't try to memorize it. Don't like test yourself what comes first, what comes last. You can still reference the code that we've provided to you, but just write it out. Just make it muscle memory. Okay? Experiment with it. Now, when you're completely done and you're confident with this, you feel good about it, you're sure that it's correct, you want to save that index.html. And we're going to prep you in the very next video for copying all of this over into a template file. So we'll talk about that shortly. Last thing that I want to say here is later on, as you get more comfortable with this boilerplate, there may come a time where you want to create a brand new boilerplate like this of your own with your own considerations. Now, it's not a whole lot of code, so if you did have to reference it, or if you did have to memorize it, it's not the end of the world. But Sublime, once again, provides a very helpful feature for us. If we are inside a document with the .html file extension, which we do have, index.html, then you can come into this file, type HTML, and hit tab, and it generates 99% of that boilerplate for us. Just one more way in which Sublime Text 3, our IDE of choice, helps us out, just like that lorem ipsum generator. Alright, so once again, get used to this, and in the next video we're going to break it down, explain what every line is doing, and we're going to migrate it all into a reusable template folder.